Here in the United States, the case of three Somali-American men charged with attempting to join Islamic State militants in Syria and conspiring to help the group is now in the hands of a jury in the Minnesota State Federal Court. Mohamed Farah, 22, Abdirahman Daud, 22, and Guled Omar, 21, are charged with conspiring to provide material support to Islamic State and commit murder outside the United States. If convicted, each could receive a life sentence. Joseph Weber, an associate professor of journalism at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, spoke to VOA and gave his thoughts on the trial.
Some of the testimony, some of the documents in this case have been quite illuminating on that. You know, these boys seem to be, and I call them boys because they were boys when they started, they seem to have a passionate religious commitment, they seem to be ideologically committed, but my sense is also that their knowledge was really very shallow, and they were heavily propagandized by videos. So as a consequence of this, they thought they were going to be heroic, and they were going to go off and do something for the salvation of Muslims. But on a very flimsy intellectual basis. It's very shallow. I'm amazed at how passionate their commitment was. Secondly, they're adolescent boys, and you have to understand, and I've found this through my studies of other cult organizations, cults appeal to people at a very susceptible time in their lives, oftentimes in adolescence or immediate post-adolescence, because frankly their brains aren't formed, they don't know who they are, they're trying to find themselves, define themselves as not their parents. That seems to be the case here as well. You know, I've been talking to some people involved in the case who say these guys were looking at lives of not a great deal of accomplishment. The idea of joining ISIS to them seemed like a heroic mission. It is naive, it is stupid, it is foreign to us as Americans, but you can kind of understand it if you look at it as an adolescent phenomenon. The other thing that's kind of interesting is, and I need to develop this more, but I'm troubled by the racial component in this case. All the defendants in this case are Somali, and all the defendants are black. They all seem to be from modest or very poor circumstances, not a lot of really successful jobs and so on facing them. I'm troubled by their perhaps isolation. That may be contributing to this. We've seen this phenomenon with some of the terrorists in the suburbs of Paris, where it's a much worse problem. I'm troubled by the idea that possibly here in the U.S. we're seeing a repeat of that phenomenon.
Yeah, many people have a question, the jury, which are all white. Yeah. Have you noticed that?
How can you not notice it? I mean, I'm frankly a little mystified, and I wasn't here for jury selection, but I'm mystified here that the defense counsel did not press for a more integrated and diverse jury. You know, it's very possible that this jury can render a fair and impartial and just verdict. I wouldn't question that, but I do think that it would probably behoove everybody if it was a more diverse group. It's a little troubling.